Hello, hello, hola, amigos, amigas. Welcome again to Lima, to Peru, to another history session from my home. Today we are going to continue with our conversation that we had started weeks ago related with the human sacrifices in ancient Peru, in pre-Hispanic Peru. So this is a part two of this, let's say, lecture. You can also see it in that way because from home, I am in every occasion we have these tours. On in Hago, we use slideshows. We have the chance of ask questions, also converse, exchange opinions. So these are pretty much history lectures, but they are fun history lectures. And it is to me a pleasure to show you through these different events, bits of the history of Peru. Thanks a lot for coming today to this event dedicated to the human sacrifices in pre-Hispanic Peru. As I said before, this is a part two of this event. But if you were not able to see part one, don't worry. You can go to my YouTube channel. At the end of this event, I'll tell you the details how you can access to the YouTube channel. But basically, it's very easy. You can go to my profile on Hago, and there you're going to see the link. But at the end, I will give you further information about my social medias. So the part one is there in my YouTube channel. So the story, let's say, related, the history of the human sacrifices, the story around the human sacrifices is big. We cannot just talk about one culture or one specific society that practice human sacrifices, and also just one way of seeing human sacrifices. There were several different ways of seeing human sacrifices, of performing human sacrifices, of choosing who would be sacrificed, who was the let's say the most could be like a perfect let's say gift that the gods will receive also, because the idea was given to the gods this presence. It could be in forms of animals or humans in some cases, and they were the chosen ones among many others. So we're going to continue with this lecture in a moment. I would love to say hi first to the people who are here today joining this event. Before I say hi to you all, let me tell you a little bit more about me, especially if you're new to my channel or maybe new to Hago. My name is Vanessa Vasquez. I am your Lima City tour guide. I've been guiding for over 15 years in my city in Lima, Peru. I am a licensed tour guide. And my passion is, well, history, but also I have big passion for every aspect of Peruvian culture. Well, if you are new to my channel or new to Hago, I would love to know if you have been for the first time here with me in a tour, or maybe Hago. So just to give you a proper welcome. And let me pass to say hi to all the people joining today's event. Hola, Daniel. Hola, Tony. Hola, Chelsea, Jessie, Priscilla. Oh, Jessie, thanks for following the channel. Hola, Terry. Thanks for coming. Thank you, amiga. Marlene, hello. Drawing Tours, hola. Diane, Susan, Marilyn, thanks for coming, amigas. Gracias. Priscilla, hola. Hello. Thanks for coming. We're going also to have chance for answering questions in a moment. We're going to have a moment specific for questions in between this event. Hola, Cari. Hola, thanks for coming. Hola, Colleen. Hola, Jennifer, Brian. Thanks for visiting. Marlene. Hola, Marlene, querida. Thanks for coming. Casey. Hola. Lisa, Dawn. Thanks for visiting today. Oh, Marlene, thanks for your tip support. And as you probably know already, if you are acquaintance with Hago, our platform is just supported with tips, not just the platform, also the tour guides. So if you are able to support with a tip, that would be super. Of course, don't feel you have to. Not always is possible. But if you would would like to support the content creators and guys of this beautiful free to join, like platform, well, you can do it if you wish with a tip, or you can become a sponsor. If you want to know more about the sponsorship program, well, at the end, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So these events will not be possible without the support of my sponsors. Many of them are today here. So muchas gracias and thanks a lot for being there. Thanks, Marlene. Thank you. I know. Thank you, Carrie, and thank you to all my friends who have helped me to create content every month, because as you can see also, and I invite you to follow my channel, we have historic talks, like until I have posted until May, and there are different kinds of things. So, well, I think we are ready to go. We have the group full, complete. Everybody's here. So let's begin with today's event about human sacrifices in ancient Peru. This is part 2. So I'm going to turn the camera to the other side. We'll flip the camera. We'll turn off the light over here. And we're going just to position our camera in direction to my computer. So, cari querida, gracias. And so we're going to continue with our discussion, our talk about human sacrifices in pre-Hispanic Peru. But before we do that, I would like to, first of all, let's say, give you a very clear introduction to human sacrifices in this part of the world, and also to remind you that sometimes we tend to judge certain things of the past very, like as modern people, we're very harsh sometimes with the people of the past, with our ancestors. I don't believe in black legends or pink legends. I am not that kind of person. For me, we humans, we are so, complex, that we have all the colors of the rainbow in us. And every society in the world, because it's constructed by humans, it has all of this spectrum of colors. Okay. So many people say, no, were these human sacrifices, you're talking about human sacrifices, Vanessa, in other occasions, for example, and what do you think about them? Was these people cruel? Was these people evil? And we need to be very open-minded to understand the human sacrifices in the way, and perceive these human sacrifices in the way our ancestors did. They were not evil. They were not criminals. They were not angels as well, of course. They were just humans who were trying to access to the favors of the gods through pleasing the gods with human blood. How they were able to ending up like thinking that the human sacrifices will please the gods. Well, first of all, we humans around the world have come to the same conclusion. You can see in the very Bible, in the Catholic Christian Bible, there are moments, passages in which human sacrifices is pointed out. In different parts of the world, human sacrifices are connected with humans since the beginning of our societies. And we are going now to understand, first of all, that the ancient Peruvians were not mean when they were doing human sacrifices. Why I would say that? First of all, because through human sacrifices, they ensured that the people that were alive, in this world where we live, will have the opportunity of having crops and products and rain and multiplication of animals. And the people who were sacrificed will go to the afterworld, to the world of the gods, and will be treated as princesses, as princes, as divine, so they will have a really beautiful afterlife, right? So we are going to recapitulate, or we will continue with the story of the human sacrifices in Peru. And in today's occasion, we are going to talk about the capacocha. The capacocha. What is the capacocha? I will explain this in a moment. Thank you so much for joining, by the way, to my friends that are just, joining. So we are just beginning. The capacocha was the practice of ritual processions that involve human sacrifices. And that's why also we have a map here of Peru. Have you noticed, the country? This is Peru, right? But we can see also many other countries here around. We have Ecuador, we have Colombia, we have Bolivia, Chile, Argentina. So we have these 6 countries in total, which are connected with this sort of like nerve system. Can you see that, right? So we can see from this map the so-called Inca Trail. This is the gigantic network connection that the Incas and pre-Inca societies use, because not just the Incas use the Inca Trail. So, how come this is possible, right? It is called Inca Trail. Well, we know that societies that existed in Peru before the Incas, and in particular the Wari culture, which was a very important state here in this territory, they were the ones who began this network. Okay, so when we're talking about the capacocha, these ritual processions that involve human sacrifices, this is during the Inca times, we need to, of course, imagine the vast expansion of the Inca and extension of the Incan territory. It is believed that the Inca trails, the summatory of those Inca trails, they will give the number of 30,000 kilometers of extension in total, right? So it's really amazing thinking, all of that intercommunication. Isn't this ancient society, the Incas, an amazing society? But the Incas were not it, we had many other societies before that made possible this expansion and this amazing network. Well, for the capacochas to exist, we need to move people from different locations. And notice that, I hope you are able to see it, in this section, we have Cusco, right? So Cusco is sort of like the center, is the heart of this vast territory that was called, in that ancient times, the Tawantinsuyo. That was the name given to this, if we can say, the country or the territory of the Incas, right? So the Tawantinsuyo was so big that its extension basically covered parts of 6 countries nowadays, okay? So, well, next image. We're going now to go to the capacocha, to the theme of the capacocha, and to what it means. The meaning of capacocha, it has lots of different translations. By the way, that name is Quechua. And most of the specialists mention that it could be related, with the idea of, like sacrifices related with the tips of the mountains, ceremonies that happen in the tips of the mountains and at the top of the mountains. So we have ancient, very old mentions in chronicles of capacochas since the coming of the conquistadors. So this means that the conquistadors themselves, the Spanish conquistadors, hear about human sacrifices. But what type of human sacrifices were those in particular? So those were sacrifices of beautiful children or young maidens, okay? So they were also connected, with the idea of carrying liquid blood right? So a capacocha also could be a type of transportation of blood, human blood, in some type of container. But in most of the cases, the container were the children themselves, also alive, moved to distant locations from their original hometowns, or in most of the cases, from Cusco, from the capital of the Incan territory, the center of the territory of the Incas. And we are talking about transportation of children for, kilometers and kilometers, thousands of kilometers. Like, for example, the case of this mummy. This is Juanita, la momia Juanita, or mommy Juanita. She was a young, beautiful girl that probably was in her, teens, maybe around 15 years old. Diane, muchas gracias. Thanks, my dear, for your support. And it is very hard to know exactly, the history of these girls, their names, for example. But every time a mummy is found, by explorers, by archaeologists, they are named immediately. No? So that's why Juanita was the name given to this young girl, discovered in the year 1995. So we're going in a moment to the discovery of Juanita. Which happened, also the geographical location is Arequipa. If you know my friend and colleague Elizabeth, our Hey Go guide in Arequipa, well, the place where Juanita was discovered was in that town. So where she was discovered, very, very high in a mountain, Nevado de Ampato. Nevado is so like a glacier, very high, snow capped or covered mountain, above 6,000 meters above sea level, as you can see here. The distance from Cusco to Ampato, to Arequipa and the mountain, which was an extinct volcano, was about 255 kilometers. But imagine walking that distance, and imagine being a young girl, like with no modern medications, to adapt to the extreme altitudes that she had to go to pass or cross to finally go to her last, shelter, right? So for a moment, I would like you to imagine, being Juanita, huh? Or, for example, one of these children, the mummies of Yuyayaco in Argentina, which were discovered in the most perfect conditions also, on their way to the mountains, on the way to the final destinations. You knew, of course, what will happen to you. Juanita and all of the mummies who were discovered in these mountains, knew the destiny before actually they were killed or before they started their trips. So how is that possible? Let's go back to the image of Juanita. So one of the ways how we know these girls or young boys, knew of their destiny, or that they were chosen for something special, very special, is because of the quality of their diet. And we can know that easily because of their hair. Specialists, people who are, let's say, involved, in the investigation of, for example, the fibers of the hair and understanding the different components and the diet through the hair, they know that in most of the cases, these children, they started to change their diet at least 2 years before their sacrifice. Okay, so 2 years before they were killed, They changed from a diet that was very, very basic, very, very simple and rural and typical of the modest people of the mountains, to eating corn, or to eating, let's say, the best quality of even meats like guinea pig, for example, or alpaca, or more abundant, quantity of coca leaf, for example. Coca leaf is an excellent supply of calcium. So these girls and boys were eating the best food, the one that the Inca king ate. Okay, so they were being prepared, and probably they were taken from towns that were very distant from the very Cusco, in a system that was used during the Incan times to create strong bonds and relations with the Inca king, the absolute leader, ruler of these territories. So, for example, when the Inca wanted to expand the territory, created close relations and connections with the leaders, the chiefs of other communities. So the way for creating familiarity, to create family relations with those new leaders that are now friends to the Inca, was receiving children from those leaders, receiving children. It could be also, they could be close children to the chiefs, like their son, their daughters, or related to the family of this leader. And they will be given to the service of the sun in the so-called temples of the sun. Especially young girls were given to serve the sun, and sometimes even to marry the very Inca, because the Inca king was polygamous. He was married to many women. He had lots of wives, but he had one, let's say, more important queen, which was the Koya. But he had lots of wives, right? So we are seeing here another example of these human sacrifices. And in a moment, we're going to talk about how these children were sacrificed. So these are the mummies of Yuyayaco in Argentina. By the way, if you would like to see these mummies, you can go, in the case of Juanita, Mommy Juanita, to Arequipa, to a museum called Santuarios Andinos. She is there, refrigerated almost. She's in a capsule like square, in which she is to minus 19 degrees Celsius, to preserve her and to give her the same conditions where she was discovered in the mountains in 1995. In the case of these children that you are seeing here, which are in even better condition than Juanita, you have to go to Salta in Argentina. They are also in a museum there. Okay, so, but to go to Argentina, hola Marilu, hola amigos who are coming, to go to Argentina from Cusco is way more distant than going to Arequipa. And that is because, the distance multiplies, exponentially, right? By 6, 1,800 kilometers distance from Cusco to Yuyayaco. Oh, so why we will take children that far away? Why the Inca will do that? And this takes me to another moment, of course, of the recreation that I'm trying to do of these human sacrifices, in which these beautiful girls, this girl, for example, This is one of the three children who were discovered in mountain or extincted volcano Yuyayaco, called also the children of the volcano. No? The case of this girl is absolutely outstanding because although in the four cases of the children I'm presenting to you, their state is amazing for being children who were sacrificed in the 1400s. Hola, hola, Nicolas. For being children sacrificed in the 1400s and still have skin, like in this amazing condition, hair that looks like even, was braided yesterday, like in the case of this beautiful girl, nails. You can even see eyelashes. Can you see eyelashes here? Right? So even a little bit of the, let's say, a stain in the lower part of her mouth that nowadays is known as vomiting. Okay. And in all of the cases, a little bowl of a coca leaf in the chin. They were chewing coca, right? By the way, in a moment, amigos, I will go to a round of questions. See, no worry. Sorry if I am not answering, my dear friends. Just want to a little bit like finish this part, and we're going to have a little break for questions because I want to address all of them. Please prepare those questions that I will be calling in a moment for those. So, well, these girls, like, remember they were having a very good diet from a deficient diet that they had until more or less 2 years before. Seems that they were moved to Cusco to the service of the sun, and their diet changed completely. Then we have a moment after this time in which they are also gaining weight. They are very beautiful, in which they are selected, which must have been an honor also. Not all of the children of the sun or the maidens of the sun were killed. They were selected. And it was, of course, an honor, and they knew they will come, or they will become after that sacrifice, divine, like gods, right? Yes, Melissa is an excellent, there are excellent documentaries. The Smithsonian has a really good documentary, by the way, about them. So then we begin with the Capacocha, which is this walkway using the Inca Trail to the final destination. Why this happened? There are many theories. One of them says that probably climate change that could happen due to Niño phenomenon, some climatic phenomena that were changing the nature of the agriculture or lack of rain, which was terrible for them. So they believed this was something caused by the gods. So that was, of course, a time in which they believe the gods were calling for lives. So these children were taken in this pilgrimage, but not just random, like routes. They passed through different important temples and sites of purification, and they walk for months in some cases until finally they reach the final destination. They were eating very good on the way, but we know also, again, thanks to the food that has been able to be seen in their stomach and their intestines and also their hair, that their diet against changes when they are close to their death, because they start consuming less food and they have more chicha, which is a type of beer from corn. and they have more coca leaf because they are going to the elevations, and they must have been struggling with breathing and walking and the extenuation. So the coca leaf still is used by mountaineers, by, climbers, to adapt to the altitude. But they were not dressed up properly. They must have been very cold, of course, right? So the chicha, the drink of the beer of the Andes, the beer of corn, must have helped also to cope with all that feeling. No? And look that this girl, for example, has, her hair braided, and these braids were made hours before she died. So the people who went with them to the dead, this is of course a speculation, but it's believed that their own family members, maybe a father, maybe a mother, went to the final, let's say, home of these girls, of these children, accompanying them until, the last minute, the last hour. And maybe they were the ones who take care of them. Maybe they even carried them in the last moments of extenuation. Another case, of course, of human sacrifice, in the mountains. This is another of the children of the volcano, or the children of Yuyayaco in Argentina. I'm mentioning these children because they came from Cusco, from my country, and because back then that territory was also conquered by the Incas. So they went to die to the mountain. And when they were above 6,000 meters above sea level, well, the air is so rare, and you can be very tired, and you don't have the energy anymore. Imagine the children also with that kind of clothes, which are not, covering enough their bodies. You are sort of like, like little by little, like sleepy, right? So this sleepiness caused also by the fatigue and the altitude. Plus, and this is also how they were died, plus probably a very big blow in the back of their heads, because in most of the cases, they are clearly fractures in the back of their heads, show that the way how they died was basically from beating their heads with a club, and then left in holes who were made, decorated also, with lots of gold and silver, and finally, left there until they died. This must have been horrendous to see as a father and a mother. But we know from chronicles of the Incas that a mother or a father could not die in cases like a capacocha, because this could be detrimental, and it could go against the ceremony, right? So they needed to be strong, because they were a very important part of the ceremony, as well as the children, for the children to go to the afterlife. Okay. So I would like to receive your questions in this moment. Well, we start having your questions. I'm seeing some of them as well. This is a good time for the questions. If you have some, please comment. You can open the chat and comment also. Maybe you're wondering how come the skin of the mummies is in such intact conditions. Well, something that happens, a consequence of the elevation, the low amount of oxygen above 6,000 meters, close to 7,000 meters above sea level. The volcanic ash also that covers the soil, because those were extincted volcanoes when these children were taken. They were considered apus, or gods, like mountain gods. Also cause a very interesting chemical effect in the skin, which was something like, it's called saponification, which is turning the acids of the skin into soap. And that's how also bacteria dies immediately. So the skin has even a very, very shiny appearance. Like almost very alive. So you can even confuse, a child like this one, like if if would have died like hours or minutes, like ago. And no, we're talking about children who died in the 15th century. Okay, so now I would like to answer questions, while we have here some, let's say, moments before we go to a little video I would like to share with you. How many have been found? Melissa, great question. Like in this impeccable condition, we have one mummy found in Peru, which is Juanita, Mummy Juanita. Johann Reinhardt, which is a very famous American archaeologist, and he is the person who also participated in the discovery of the other children, the other three that I showed you. By the way, these three kids are the children of Yuya Yaco from Argentina, Salta, and this is Juanita. Juanita is not her best shape in the skin because unfortunately seems that her tomb was exposed to the sun, and the skin also was damaged. The skin of her face was damaged because of sun, right? So these are the four cases that I've been able to found that are connected with the Incas, that are in the best conditions, founded in the peaks or the heights of the mountains. How old were the children? Nikki, excellent question. Juanita, this lady over here, is speculated that she was around 15 years old. She was around 15 years old. In the case of the children you see over here, one of the girls, the maiden is how she's called. She was as well around 15 years old. We have also a 7-year-old boy, El Niño, the boy. And we have also a girl, which is usually called the girl of the lightning, because she was struck by a lightning also. She was around the same age of the boy. So they were very, very young. Thanks, Nikki. Were these three little ones from different places or the same family? What do you think? Tracy, they hasn't been done or published at least an investigation like clarifying if there was any connection like of DNA that they come from the same family, but most likely no, because these sort of like schools in which the children were prepared, to, in some cases, be human sacrifices, these houses of the sun, these Agyawasis also called, the children were coming from distant locations, from different locations. They were chosen children, chosen women from locations that were not connected. So probably they were not connected genetically. Indeed, Marlene, was an honor, and they were, of course, prepared for 2 years. They go willing. But is there any story of anyone resisting at the last minute? Marlene, great question. We don't have any information of that kind. But because we know the conquistadors were able to hear stories about the capacocha, of the human sacrifices, and we know from documents of the Spaniards that it was forbidden, as a parent to be, sad for sacrifice like this one, and not just during the Inca times, also other previous societies like the Chimu also, in which children were also sacrificed. We can see also this as a warning, people couldn't be sad. So maybe it had happened. And that's why it was banned, right? But we don't have any certainty of that, because the Spanish, for example, who were the ones who wrote documents about these ceremonies and what they saw, they didn't give us any clues of these ceremonies because they didn't witness those. Okay. Thank you, my friend. Elene, thanks for coming, amiga. How do you know that the children found in Argentina are from Cusco? Excellent, Elene, excellent. Because number one, the different objects that were discovered with them, you know. I, by the way, recommend you to watch. There is a very good documentary from the Smithsonian channel, about the children, especially of the children of Yuyayaco, which is the same story than the one of the mommy Juanita, the mommy of Arequipa. So, and it's very clearly explained, like from the golden work, the potteries discovered there, all the elements, they are all connected with the Inca style, the Inca tradition, and the Inca pattern. And we know that the Incas had many apus, mountains that they worship, and they also they took children to those distant mountains to guarantee the good climate. Okay. So we are, by the way, in the round of questions, amigos. If you have a question, I would like to also address all of them. What has happened to them since being found? Oh, great question, Melissa. Have they been returned to their original places? How do the local indigenous people relate to them as ancestors? Muy bien, Melissa. Well, first of all, we know only of 4 children in such great condition, but we are sure that they were many more of these mummies discovered by illegal tomb raiders, illegal huaqueros, we call them. And unfortunately, when the huaqueros, the tomb raiders, find places like those, they don't care on the mummies. They take gold, they take the silver, and the rest, they leave there. And because the tombs are open, the mummies immediately start to disintegrate, because they need certain climatic conditions, to be like this, or like this, for example, right? So when archaeologists, like in this case, in the 2 findings, Johann Reinhardt discover, also with the help of local mountaineers, Peruvian in one case and Argentinian in the other case, discovered these findings. Immediately, what they have to do is take them to a safe place, because we're talking about far locations in the mountains where nobody will be able really to admire, about 6,000 meters above sea level, to go and admire these mummies, but also because they are indeed patrimony to us. They are our ancestors, and we believe we need to be very careful with them, right? But they are also ancestors that talk to us about the past. So they are taken to museums. These children are in Salta, Argentina. There is a museum there where you can see the children, by the way. Also, you can visit the children these days in a museum in Salta. And in the case of the mummy Juanita, she is in Arequipa. You can visit her. Oh, sorry that this is being activated. Okay. So you can visit her in Arequipa in the Museum Santuarios Andinos. People, Peruvian, indigenous people, and in general, we are very, very culturally very mixed. We are very happy that these children are protected in a good location. Okay. So, sorry. So this is why we are actually happy, that they are in under climatic conditions that are proper for them. Because if you take them for, like 2 minutes out of their boxes that are minus 16 degrees Celsius, they will be gone. No, they will start disintegrating. Okay. Muchas gracias, Melissa. Thanks for your question. Muchas gracias. Marlene is asking also, after the children were unconscious, how did they obtain the blood? Or was the death itself considered blood sacrifice? No exaggeration necessary. Yes, Marlene, as you said, they were the containers of the blood, right? So they were taken within themselves, that element that was considered to be precious by the ancient Peruvians. And this, the origin of the blood and the importance of the blood, is also explained in my first event, my part one, which I did also live here on Heygo. But I want to invite you to my YouTube channel, in which you're going to see also the part one of this event. And now I would like also to go to a little video. Is also from of course there is ads. It is also a clip from the Smithsonian. Let me open this here.
And he's piecing together the life of this 500-year-old Inca mummy.
Can you hear it?
Pottery links her to the empire's capital, Cusco. A tunic suggests she was the daughter of a local chief. And coca leaves place her in an important spiritual circle.
Thanks for the follows. Gracias, Tracy.
It stands out above the rest. A beautiful headdress, the finest ever found, in an extraordinary state of preservation.
This headdress is a kind of crown. She's like a princess. For Incas, feathers are more important than gold.
For Gabriela, this headdress provides the final piece of the puzzle.
This kind of headdress were used only for special ceremonies and mainly for virgins of the sun.
Virgins of the sun were famous throughout the Inca Empire. Chronicles record that a special group were chosen each year to serve the sun god.
Some could be of a fairly young age. It could be 6 to 8 years, some maybe 10 years. Their beauty was one of the reasons for selecting them. And in some cases, even their parents might have offered them to become part of the service of the Inca religion.
As a virgin of the sun, the maiden would have been separated from her family, never to return home. Pottery from her tomb suggests she was brought to Cusco, and Johan is here to pick up her trail.
This is the place where the virgins of the sun were kept, the so-called Acuasi, considered incredibly sacred to the Incas. These buildings were especially designed to keep them apart in order to keep them pure.
The maiden lives a cloistered existence, part nun, part priestess, preparing sacred offerings for the sun god. Rarely is she allowed out. So why does she leave this place to make a 1,000-mile pilgrimage to a distant mountain?
At a certain point, these virgins of the sun would be allocated their duties, in essence, their destinies. Some would be selected to be concubines of the Inca nobility. And a very select few, would be selected as offerings, as human sacrifice.
The maiden didn't go to Mount Yuyayaco to make an offering. She was the offering. singled out by her own people for human sacrifice.
Different kind of qualities were taken into consideration as to which child would be selected. They had to have some kind of a charisma about them. They wouldn't have a child who was easily frightened.
For the Inca, being chosen for sacrifice was a great privilege. And in Cusco, the maiden would have been treated as a goddess.
She would have gone through very special ceremonies in the presence of the Inca emperor himself and been very highly honored.
She left Cusco in a blaze of glory, and the fame followed her all the way to the volcano. But under all the glory, there is a bitter truth. A 14-year-old girl walking 1,000 miles, knowing that she is going to die.
So I think the Smithsonian Channel has probably the best documentary I've seen about the maidens of the sun, and in particular, this case of the children of Yuyayaku. I highly recommend you to be able to see this documentary if it's possible for you. Melissa is asking, oh, Melissa, thank you. Would age 14, 15 have been considered a child or a woman? Melissa, indeed, the moment of menstruation was a moment in which women turn into women, girls turn into women. The idea of teenager, being a teenager didn't exist in the pre-Hispanic times. So these women, the ones that were 14, 15 years old, they were the maidens of the sun, right? But there were children, boys and girls also, that were 7 years old, 6 years old, and could be, before, like the puberty or menstruation in women, that could be also because of the beauty, or because maybe omens, that indicated to the priest that children was the one that God wanted, that could be sacrificed. And we can imagine also the fear these children felt. Doesn't matter, they were prepared, for years in some cases for this final moment. We can imagine the fear because there are evidences of vomiting in them, meaning that you can vomit or throw out because of the fear, because of the panic. And it happened. And even in the maidens also, there are cases, like for example, in the case of the girl of Yuyayaku, the maiden of Yuyayaku, she had evidences of vomiting. Oh, Shelly, thanks for sharing this video. Shelly, our friend, is sharing a video dedicated to, the virgins of the sun. Thank you so much, Shelly. Oh, this is, like a big community. We are here to support and to share tips and videos. And there will be, amigos, gracias, Shelly. There will be a part 3. And what is going to be in the part 3? Okay. Look at this. What is this, amigos? Do you know what is this? Oh, gracias, Marilu. We are going to talk in part 3 of the famous trophy heads. Trophy heads. So I hope you stay tuned for the next part. Gracias, Marilyn. If you were not able to see, let me turn on the light to see you again, and also to flip the camera. So if you were not able to come at the beginning of this tour, no worries, amigos, no worries, amigas. You can visit my YouTube channel. In my YouTube channel, I put recordings of our Heygo live events. History of Peru is so vast. There are so many different chapters of the history of Peru that I am not planning to go back to the same things in a long time to make them live. So I want you to have the chance of going back to those lectures, to those events, and revise them and check them and maybe share them if you wish. So that's why I post them on my YouTube channel. So on my profile on HeyGo, you can go there at the end of this event. Oh, you don't need to do it right now. You can jump there and you're going to see a link for my YouTube. Please give me a follow and help me also to grow my YouTube channel. That would be super. If you can give me a like also, that would be great. So there you can see the part one of this event. Also, and a special mention to my sponsors, who are the ones who help me to create my YouTube channel. They are helping me also to create content. If you wish to become a sponsor and help me to continue growing, the channel and hear my tours on HeyGo, it is a compromise. I know that it's not for everybody, but with $10 every month, you can help me to continue creating events. And also you can help HeyGo, because not the tips nor the sponsorship program goes directly and only to the guide. Well, you are supporting always with a percentage HeyGo, because that's the only way we can keep HeyGo a free platform with your support. So thanks a lot to my sponsors, who many of them, as I said in the beginning, are here. Muchas gracias, amigos. Thanks to the people who are able to tip. The tips help me a lot to continue creating material. Muchas gracias. And as you know, the tips also help HeyGo. I love the idea that education should not be a privilege. I think and I strongly believe that everybody should be able to access to education, to access to information. And well, we are also being part of that. We content creators on HeyGo, we are trying to bring education to everybody. Doesn't matter, age, location, your economical situation. We want you all to learn from our cultures, from our countries, from our history, and firsthand. So, muchas gracias, amigos. If you wish to tip, to donate, I am activating the tip button. You can do it even until the end of this event. You don't need to do it right now. And muchas gracias, Marlene. Gracias, gracias, gracias. Thank you, thank you. It really means a lot, your words. Gracias, Tracy. Muchas gracias, amigos. Gracias, Melissa. Thanks for your questions, by the way. And I hope you come again. Please join my upcoming events. Gracias, Barbara. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please come visit me soon. Charity, thank you so much. Cari querida, gracias. Thank you. So take care and see you soon. Have a lovely rest of the day. Until the next time. Bye-bye. Ciao. Gracias. Gracias, Marlene. Thank you.